Where I am now, better than before. Through those open doors, where I am now, where I am now, I'm getting special place. Until you walk embrace, where I am now. It's now time for the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. That's FYI Radio Show with your host, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton. I'm Ed Everett, the co-host. The music that you hear in the background is none other than Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton, where I am now. And if you'd like to see us live in WGPL 1350 studio, WMVA 88.9 FM studio, all you have to do is go to Edward Everett's Facebook page or Miss Yolanda the Lady Hinton Facebook page, and guess what? You can see us live right here in the studio. And if you want to hear us all over the world, all you have to do is go to 1400 AM, 1350 AM, click and listen live. Don't forget, you'll see something that says Church Webcast. And when you see Church Webcast, click on it and hit your earpiece, and guess what? You can hear us. And now I want to introduce to some and present to others the host of the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton, and a pleasant good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. E. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Would you, could you, will you be my neighbor?
Let's welcome our neighbors. Let's welcome WGPL 1350 AM listeners.
Peace, 95.3 FM, WPCE 1400. Peace, WMVA 88.9. Good morning.
Facebook is live. All right, and it's on and popping. Let's also welcome Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we promise we'll shout you out.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe over there on YouTube at Cristo Records 1, CRISTO Records 1, or at FYI Radio Show host Yolanda Hinton. If you like, share, comment, and subscribe, we promise we'll shout you out.
Shut up.
All right, Mr. E, it's hump day, the middle of the week. You all should be up and popping.
That's right, it's hump day. It's in the middle, and don't forget you got 2 more days left, and it's supposed to be the 3rd day of the winter of fall. But the temperature outside is going to be really, really, really warm on today.
Well, we can expect humidity next few days. It's going to be high. It's already warm. I don't mind. It's the beginning of fall. And of course, you know, fall is a beautiful time of the year. And we're just going to thank God for another season. He's good and faithful like that. But I tell you what, it's FYI Radio's Wednesday segment. What's under the hat? Issues concerning you men.
That's what you want to know. Everything about the brotherhood, about the men, how they tick, how they act, how they operate, and what they do, and how and why they do it. So hey, get your pen and piece of paper, jot down some notes if you want to know what makes a man roll.
Ooh, I tell you what, the FYI's topic today is emotions. How fathers can manage their sons' emotions. And I tell you what, I don't know, a lot of people think about fathers and how they go to work, they come home, they, spend time with their kids, but it goes a little bit deeper than that, Mr. E. A father has to deal with a child, especially today, this is men's issues. We're talking about males and men and young men and boys. And it's something that definitely has to be guarded and managed. And first of all, we're going to talk about what emotions are.
Emotions are complex mental and physical experiences a mix of thoughts, feelings, and bodily reactions that serve as a response to events, thoughts, or situations, providing information and motivating behavior for survival and social connection. Key aspects include a subject experience, a psychological response like a racing heart or behavior response, such as smiling, crying. Common examples of emotions include happiness, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, and disgust, which can be brief and intense or more prolonging or
In a
complex.
nutshell, it's your feelings.
That's
We've
right.
got to manage our young boys and their feelings. First of all, we can go back, and this topic is talked about, it's been talked about for a long time. But one of the main things that really come up is that when it comes to emotion and boys and men, is that most feel like people condition boys not to feel, not to cry. Is that right, Misty? In your experience, that what you've heard,
That's what
boys are not supposed to. Why are you crying? Stop crying, man up.
That's what some folks says when the young men are out and about as growing up. You're supposed to be a man. You're not supposed to cry. If you cry, you're a little sissy or whatever they may call you. So that but actuality, my dad told me one time before that God gave you tear ducts, and you're supposed
Absolutely.
to show emotions, whether they want to accept your emotions or not. You have emotions because when we begin to look at what is emotions and how they're being displayed, you find that they are happiness, their sadness, their anger, their fear, their surprise and disgust. So these are whole thing in a nutshell. So you can look at your sons and say, "Hey, look, what's wrong with you?" You know
Mhm.
that he's something is going on with him by his emotions.
Jesus wept. Jesus had
That's right.
emotions. He also was angry. He went into the temple with the money changes and he turned it out. I mean, we have to learn how to teach our children. First of all, you're going to have these emotions. These are already built in us. We talked about happiness, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, disgust. It's already there. But what you do with it is key. You got a lot of young men in jail because of not knowing how to maintain or manage themselves, haven't been taught the keys to keeping yourself angry, but not going over the limit, not going overboard, not going into sin. They don't know that. They don't know self control. They don't know how to take anger and put it in its place. It's all right to be angry. I tell the young people that I mentor, the young men that I mentor, it's okay to feel that. You're going to feel that. That's a part of our emotion. But when you start feeling anger and then you want to destroy something or hurt someone, or if you want to do something that's going to cause somebody to react in a way, then you have definitely gone over the line because you do not know what it takes to say, wait a minute, I'm going to get in trouble if I take this anger and not pull it in, rein it in, or keep it, or either, not stifle the anger. You can feel it, but you can put it in its place.
Well, you got to remember, men don't have a difficult. They have difficulty of expressing their emotions.
And why is that?
Because they don't know what it feels like. If they, nobody told them that they can be happy. Nobody told them they're gonna have some sad days. Nobody told them that they're gonna have some trouble spots and how to deal with the trials and tribulation. You said something early in reference to Jesus. Jesus had to got to the point where he said unto his father,
Can this cup pass? Because I'm sick of these folk. He's expressing his emotion because these folks don't want to do what is right. They don't want to. They don't understand, and that's what happened to a lot of men in this season, in this day. They don't. They try to express their problem. They try to express themselves, but they hit a brick wall as if to say, "Who wants to? Who cares about your expression?"
Well, that's where it comes in the conditioning of our young boys and men when they're young. It's told, man up, be a man. You can't, you're not supposed to. We're not supposed to see that side. We don't want to see that side of a man. A lot of times, the world and society and the community condition our boys to be hard. You've got to be hard. You got to stand up. You got to do this and you got to do that. And so, when a man starts showing that, it's like, okay, really, okay, really, you going that way. It's like we don't want to see that.
You
People
know,
don't want to see that in a sense.
it's what they say. They say this is what the norm, supposed to be the norm. That a
Hmm.
man is not supposed to express his emotions. But you got to remember, if God gave him them emotions, if God gave it to him, he's got every right to express those emotions whenever those emotions come about him. Because when he does, it's a way of expressing his feelings. Nowadays, when people are going into the hospital, they have a little chart on the wall to ask them how is the pain? How are you feeling today? Are you happy? In school times now, in the first and second grade, how is you feeling today? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling sad? They are reaching out in for those children and for people to tell them about their emotions, how they're feeling. So that's the only way folks can really
Mhm.
understand the way you tick is by your emotions.
I think communications and teaching our kids to communicate, to open up. Young girls and women are very sociable. They're talkative. They talk to one another. They gather. Mom shares things with their daughter and aunties, and they all come in and they collaborate together and socialize together. Communication and letting boys open up and have uh, words to say of and their opinion about things. That's another thing. What's your opinion? At a young age, you can ask a child, a boy, to express his opinion and to, make sure he has a voice. But one of the main things that in our research says a son primarily needs he needs that love first of all. He needs affirmation. He needs guidance and a presence from his father. He needs a father who is consistent, a loving role model, providing encouragement, setting healthy boundaries with discipline, and spending quality time. This guidance and support helps sons develop into well adjusted men who know they are valued.
And that's one of the greatest things in the world. A daddy has to be a daddy, has to be in to play that role model. But here's the kicker part. If a daddy does not have that in him, nobody spend that time with him, he will never know how to relay it to his sons because the only thing that you got, he was told that you have to be tough. You
Yeah,
have to be.
yes.
This is due in part when they say men and men have difficulty expressing themselves and talking about what's going on for them. This is due in part to an embedded culture expectation. The
Mhm.
culture that we're living in, they expect for a man to do so much. This is the expectation of a man. You don't have no emotions. You can't cry, you can't be sad, you got to be tough, or else you're not a man.
Absolutely. That's how the conditioning goes. But let's take, for instance, a child is in school and something happens and he's disciplined, or someone calls from the school and says, well, your son this and this and that. What is that father already preconditioned to? Does he know his son well enough to know if this is something he's being accused of falsely? Does that child have a voice when he comes home and say, Dad, this is how it is? Or is immediately Dad starts swinging? It's what I'm saying is we can stifle the emotions of a child when we do not see a point of view, or we don't hear his voice, or we don't know him that much. We begin to say, you're wrong, accusations of, oh, you're wrong. And say, Daddy, no, that ain't how it went. And all of a sudden, daddy or a parent, whoever, may have it already in their mind how it went. That child is not able to express. All he knows, I got a call from school. I'm about to tear you up because I got a call from school. And so we've got to be careful of how we, condition and manage our child's emotion, because sometimes we can bring our emotions to them in a negative way. Like I say, by not communicating with the child. Some parents don't communicate with you. Your children should be seen and not heard. I don't want to hear your voice. You ain't got nothing to say. All I know, I got a call from the teacher. And boy, if I hear that anymore, I'm going to bust you up. I've seen parents do it so many times. A child has a point of view. He has an emotion, he has a feeling about certain things. And those things at times, most of the time, should be expressed, but it should be managed in a certain way.
Well, that comes from a cultural expectation, a cultural change. Now the culture are slowly changing, because back in the days of old, when a child gets out of place, when an adult is talking, the adult is always right because she's an adult. They used to say adult don't have what that don't have no reason. The adult have no reason to tell a fib on you, to tell a story to you because she's an adult. And back in the days of old, you have to learn how to respect the adult. Adults are never wrong. They're always right. So now things are slowly changing. It's a sad thing to say, but most part, men are still expecting or encouraged to spend time focusing on their feeling and the knowledge that they may need support. And then they put it in a big old basket because you showing your emotion that you got some mental illness. You're a little cuckoo. You a little crazy. But it does not necessarily have to be like that, because now the culture they're having a culture shock, because now things are changing where they're teaching young men, and how to be able to express their thoughts. Let the young man talk. Let him tell his side of the story. And then you ought to be able to go to the bargaining table, the negotiating table, and find out what's right, what's wrong.
How do you manage fear, child's fears? Children, they grow up, they're carefree. Boys are carefree. Then all of a sudden, something happens. It could be environmental. It could be something that happens to them as they go through puberty, something that, they experience at school or at home. How do you calm the fears of a child? They're going to have them through their eyes, what they see and what they hear. We're living in an environment now. It's just so much happening. Children have to experience things that, we didn't. With the pandemic we had recently, with wars and things that are about, with leadership and things like that, with the schools changing, with gangs. How does fathers calm the fears of their children, of their boys?
When the daddy is not in the house, it's hard for him to even take the opportunity to sit down and really teach his emotion. I was in a play one time before. Can a woman raise a man? Yes, she can, but there are some things that a man has to impart into his son. He's got to teach him that, what men has to go through, that it's okay for him to cry. It's okay for him to have good days, and how to control his happiness, and how to look at life in another perspective where folks won't take advantage of him. So now it is some of the things that a man has to do is to take the time out, not just be the disciplinarian and knock his head off and knock him out, but take the time out and to let him examine himself so he can see that he has some feelings on the inside. Whether or not you want to see it or not, he got feelings and must acknowledge that he has feelings and need to have support of that, so that he wouldn't have to be challenged and take no Zoloft and take no mental health pills and things of that nature. He has feelings. So, we so busy putting our young men in a box and put them in a category. Well, you are emotional disturbed. He's only expressing himself.
Yeah.
When you become a daycare provider, you'll find that there are young men who are expressing themselves. And the parents want to know, how was your child today? Well, he was expressing himself. He was feeling sad. He was feeling happy. He was going through some changes. Well, then it takes the time out for the daddy and the mama to go back and find out, why was Johnny feeling the way that he was feeling, so that Johnny can be healthy and not be on those mental health programs.
Absolutely. Managing their happiness. A child needs that affirmation, that love. They need to hear the words. Boys need to hear the words, I love you and I'm proud of you. And it makes them feel secure and valued. You have to tell them their worth. You have to teach them young, man, like, high five, or, here's just a hug. You come home, I want to give you a hug because you're my son. You got to look in those eyes and tell those boys, you are important. That is some of the key things that children need. Boys need affirmation, and then guidance. If something goes wrong and they've done something, you've got to tell them, teach them the lesson. It ain't always taking that belt and wearing them out. You can wear them out, give them that spanking or whatever, but let a lesson be attached to it so they can learn the next time how to not let their anger get out of control, or not to be so mad. Getting up, waking up. You ever see boys and girls too, but boys, they wake up just as mad. They don't want to go to school sometimes, and not that they're doing bad in school. But school is a bad experience. They just wake up evil. That's and right. So sometimes, a father may, buck. If that child is bucking in the morning, have that bad feeling, then the father, he want to get aggressive, and then it doesn't make a good day for that child, because why? He's waking up tired, and nobody understands that, hey, he just didn't sleep well, or he stayed up a little bit too long. All of a sudden he knows that because he has this feeling, somebody wants to, challenge that feeling. And boy, if you don't get up, get out of here. Sometimes it's a terrible time when it comes to sending your children and your boys out to school. It starts sometimes at the home. The home is a mess before they even get to school, because when they get up, like I said, they have feelings. They're hungry, they're tired, and sometimes all somebody want to do is just buck. Leave them alone for a minute. Leave them alone. Make sure they stay on their schedule to be on time, but make sure they just unwind like we do when we get up in the morning. Unwind, and then let him eat his breakfast, and then send him to school with those affirmations. Not that fight. Parents do that. They want to fight and fuss. Oh, get them. You're responsible for managing their feelings. If they're tired, make sure they get a good bedtime. Make sure they eat in the morning. Make time you affirm them. Make them feel good about themselves before they go out into that world, before they go out into school. It's just amazing how, we do pull back on, that emotional guidance because we don't want to deal with certain things.
One of the key roles that everybody fail to realize that fathers are plays a key role in modeling for sons. Daddy has to be able to be in their life, regardless if daddy is no good, regardless if mama say that you cannot continue to rub daddy in the dirt. You got to let them know that there is some good points about their fathers, about their dads. You can't keep on putting that label that he ain't no good, he ain't gonna be nothing. You just like your daddy. You just like your dad. So the child gonna understand. Well, you told me I was just like my daddy. I'm no good. But fathers got to remember that they plays a key role to modeling sons, teaching them how to behave in this world and in a relationship and how to show respect. Daddies has to do that. And then fathers also has to continue to love their son, whether they're right or wrong, is to have unconditional love.
Yes.
And that love that father has to build his son's self-esteem. He already been put in the pot. Maybe daddy is not in the household, but still, mama should never ever, grandmama should never ever, people should never ever belittle their father. Your father ain't this, your father ain't that. So the child saying, okay, fine, you already implanted that in his head. So now that child gonna be just like you said his daddy is, no good, and he's gonna do what no good children do.
How can those things harm a person when they're not able to, when their emotions are not managed? What things can happen if if you leave your child to himself to learn, and that's one of the problems. If you leave that son out there to feel and feel things that may not be, he may not have a great understanding about. He may doubt himself. He may, like I said earlier, have a lot of fear and things like that. He is really, really on a road where he could really damage himself, his personality, his life, his journey, because he don't know what to do with himself. You got to really, really guard their hearts and
That's
their
right.
minds. You just can't let a boy just go on his own. Oh, you a boy? He had gone out there and look what happened with the prodigal son. Dad, of course, had a lesson to teach this child, but he went out there and he didn't have no other understanding. He didn't have he would just toe up. He came back messed up because he was out there, didn't have an understanding of a lot of things. Men, you have to be careful that you don't just throw your sons out to the wolves. You've got to teach them about themselves and who they are and what's inside of them and what's normal and what's not. You've got to manage those feelings and emotions. You've got to see that child is happy. You've got to see that child fears. You have to calm those fears. You have to, daddies, you have to make sure you're giving that child the tools that it takes to survive in this world.
You also got to remember a father's presence, whether it is in his life, daily life, during important moments, or he has to really show that boy how to be secure. See, he's got to continue a father, whether he's in that boy today's life or whenever he come there on special moments, he's got to be able to have that to say to him, to encourage him that he can make it. See, sometimes what happens, sometimes a father has been blocked. There's an old saying in the street, Any man can be a daddy, which is a true statement. You can take on somebody else, but somebody else's child and treat him as your child and have him call you daddy. But there's nothing like his daddy that's in his life encouraging him. He's modeling somebody else that's not his flesh and blood. But when his daddy appears and all he had heard about his daddy, now that makes him pick up the chips and be like his daddy. But sometimes you got to allow that daddy to continue to be in his life, to encourage him, to let him know that he can do it, help him to face his challenge and learn from his mistakes and build a resentment, rebuild to build his life. You got to really be able to allow him, his daddy, past, present, or future, to be the man of his own so he can be the man that he's supposed to be.
Well, don't give up on your son. Sometimes it goes deeper. They may need help, help from taking them to the doctor or help understanding puberty. But make sure you know that they're gonna have challenges. But it's up to you to help to manage them, their emotions, their life, and help them to get a good start in this world. So look, we will talk with you on Fun Friday. We have a special guest, Miss Angelique Mason. Got some great information for you. We'll see you then. You all have a wonderful, wonderful day.
For the past 30 minutes, you've been listening to the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. And for more information, you can give us a call at 757-714-7861, or you can email us at fyiradioshow@gmail.com. Don't forget to join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:30 to 10 on all your social media platforms and on every radio station there is. Have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Took a long time to get to this.
Okay, our topic is, oh my goodness, emotions. I bought a book from T.D. Jakes, and the title is He Emotions, and it talks about men and their needs and their emotions and how they need to express and how they need to learn how to express. It's just a lot to it, but it's a great book. If you all ever get your hands on it, it has a workbook that goes along with it. It's He Motions, He hyphen Motions. It's a great book, and I've had it for a while. It's been out for a minute. So look, we want you to come back with us on Fun Friday. We have Miss Angelique Mason coming. She has some great information, great mission for a program that she's doing and others. Also, we're going to have Miss Charmaine Swimson Broom, a Women in Business segment. I'm coming with the hot topics, but I have a special guest, Miss Tamika Griffin. She's going to be on next Monday evening on our FYI After Dark. Oh my goodness, the topic, I'm not going to give you the topic yet, but it is a trip. Also, Edward Everett around the town with community news and events. A lot of stuff happening. Look, we got a local going on right now. You can vote early, and make sure you get involved. This is a way of speaking up and speaking out. And this is a way of teaching our children also how to get involved in our community and learning what voting and why we should vote, how important it is. Also, Jason Baker, October, he has some great information. He says cryptocurrency, money, and more. And then we are going toward our anti-bullying information October. Also, the recruiting of the Young Women Achieving Success program coming up in October. We'll talk about that too. Chris Hinton is going to become on. He's a real estate agent. He's a realtor. Yes, he is. Doing great. And he has some information for you all with the interest rate going down. This may be the best time to buy a home. Also, you can follow us on social media. You can be a special guest, intern, or sponsor. Now, there are some that have inboxed and are interested in coming on. We're going to get to you. We're filling up our calendars, so just give us a little bit of time, and we will respond to your requests. Let's see, how can they be a special guest, intern, or sponsor?
To be a special guest, intern, or sponsor, Or if you want to sit in our audience, just email us your email and we'll email you back. And all you have to do is go to FYI Radio Show Live at gmail.com, or you can call 757-714-7861, or you can also go to our social media page, FYI Facebook page, and inboxes on Miss Yolanda Lady Hinton, inbox her, or Edward Everett inbox, and we'll get back with you.
Good morning, Sheila Robbins. Then we have Pretty 4150 over here on Instagram, K365 over here. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your support. The topic today, you can go to AI Overview, get the information, and share it with your family, your husband, your daddy, uncles, all of them, so they can teach our boys. Look, be blessed. We'll see you back here on Fun Friday.
2 up, 2 down.